That sounds pretty good. One of these days, I'll join you on that golf course, but I got to remember how to play first. I need to spend a lot of time on the putting green and that sort of thing. I watched some good golf again over the weekend. Did you see that PGA?
Wasn't that marvelous?
Wow.
Wasn't that marvelous?
What they go into 8 overtimes?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
They did. It was too bad somebody had to lose.
It really was. Yeah, I really feel that it is too bad.
So let me give you some quick golfing advice, okay? Because
I need it.
We cover the whole gamut here, okay? So one of my 5 sons, after graduating from St. Edmunds, went to golf school.
Really?
And was in golf school for a year. Yeah. And so one day after he got home from golf school, he's a fantastic golfer. That's how he makes his living right now. He's a lobbyist and plays golf all the time. You know, I always kid him, if I knew what lobbyists made, I never would have been a lawyer. Never. So he said to me one day, he said, Dad, how many times do you use your driver on 18 holes? Well, when you stop and think about it, there are 2 par 5s and 2 par 3s on each 9. So you really only use your driver 14 times. If you're on in regulation, you'll use your putter 36 times, 18 holes, twice on each hole. There's a message there. Driver, 14, putter, 36. Where should you be spending all of your time when you're playing golf practicing? On the putting green. So
that's true.
You were exactly right when you said I need to spend time putting. You constantly amaze me about your knowledge of things, Mike. You really do. Spend it on the putting green. Excellent.
Yes, that's I used to love to play golf, but that was back in the 80s. That was a while ago, and I got away from it for some reason. So there we are. Anyway, Joe Coleman is our guest, AM 1400 KVFT, the voice of Fort Dodge. Is there anything else to say in the prodigal son story, or are we done?
You know, I think we're done. Other than when you're having difficulty with your children, when you're an old person like I am, and you think you're having difficulty with either your children or your grandchildren, pull out the Bible, go to the New Testament, open Luke, and read the parable of the prodigal son. It will change your response to these loved ones that you have, and you will put down the gauntlet of what you need and pick up the gauntlet of what they need, and it will change both of your lives.
I will do that. This is AM 1400 KVFT, the voice of Fort Dodge. Sam Clovis was right before you. I don't know if you know Sam or not, but he was in the Trump administration. He's a thinker. We talked a little about critical race theory. How do we as Christians adopt to critical race theory, or as Catholics more precisely?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, when someone asks me that question, I always say to them, and I wonder if you asked Mr. Clovis, what is your definition of critical race theory?
Well, I have a very negative view of critical race theory. It's a concept that was developed in the 1970s by academics who believed that the civil rights struggle was taking too long, that equality or equity for African American people precisely was taking too long, and we needed some sort of urgency. And they came up with this theory, essentially, that tells us that horrible racism is intertwined in our history, and that white culture was essentially responsible for most of the ills, if not all the ills, in our country. So that's the way I understand it in brief.
Yeah. So do you mind if we take that apart? What you're talking about?
No, I don't. I would like your definition.
Okay. Well, but I'm happy to get there. My definition of critical race theory is that it is a misnomer, and it is a term which is applied to avoid examining history very, very antiseptically. No spin on it. Just call it for what it is. What are the facts? Okay.
Yeah.
That, if we had that, we would have, quote unquote, critical race theory. For example, we would look at every single one of the articles of secession of the southern states during the time of the Civil War. Every single state said, we are seceding from the Union because of slavery. Slavery. And if you don't believe me, which I always encourage people, don't believe me, go read the documents. I've read all of their articles of secession, and they are all about we're leaving because of slavery.
Yes.
Not because of states' rights, not because, oh, we want, you know, we don't like the 3/5 vote, you know, slavery. We cannot live in the South unless we subjugate the Negro race. And we will leave the Union in order to keep subjugating this race. Now, you may call that critical race theory. You know what I call it? I call it reading the documents. Lawyers would call it evidence.
Evidence.
But nobody wants to do that, Mike. Nobody wants to do that today. Why should we burden ourselves with the facts when it doesn't square with our emotional response? You know, that's where our culture has led us, that if it doesn't square with our visceral emotional response, it can't be true. It can't be true. You know, Orwell was the guy that said, if you want to become a martyr in the society that is to come, you only have to do one thing. You know what it was, Mike? Tell the truth. Tell the truth. And you will become a martyr in the society that is just over the horizon where we're going. Wow. Was that Nostradamian?
Yes.
You know?
Go ahead.
I just find it, you know, it is so disappointing. So we were going to take apart what you were talking about. My question would be to somebody like Clovis, how long is too long? How long is, and we have some music coming in here, but how long is too long, Mike? How long should a people have to wait in order to have full rights and responsibilities? But here I said rights and responsibilities that you and I have. How long should you have to wait for that, Mike?
Well, don't people in the United States have it now?
Of course not. Of
Really?
course not. Of course not.
Okay.
Let me give you an example of that. Let me give you an example.
Here, let me throw this in. Everyone has rights and responsibilities. However, I'm not ignoring racial prejudice and the effect it's had on Black people. But I would say to you again that we all have rights and responsibilities.
Oh, no argument there. That's pretty generic. That's pretty Melba toast. You and I can each eat that without teeth. We're happy. We're happy to do that.
Well, all right, get deep with me then, Joe. I'm not deep today.
So, you know, the problem always is. I was reading a thing the other day which really struck me, Mike, and I said to myself, Joe, your head is where the sun isn't shining. You didn't realize that. When we're in a discussion group, my hallucination about you, Mike, is if you're in a group of people and somebody says something that you don't like and you know is false, even worse, not only do you not like it, but you know it's false, you're going to stand up and you are going to challenge them and you are going to say, buddy, you are wrong, and here's why you are wrong. Is that not correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you know that our black brothers and brown brothers will not do that? Will not do that. They will hesitate to do that because one of the hallmarks, if you will, of white privilege is the internal feeling that you have the right to stand up on your hind legs and correct a wrong. I never understood that most black people and most brown people will sit there on their hands rather than say that, because they don't have that privilege that you and I have. You know, people may disagree with that, but unfortunately, the evidence of what happens in real life seems to fall on my side of the ledger on that. And I think most people, if they stop to examine that, would say, you know, that's what I experienced in life. Not only did I experience that with black people and brown people, but I experienced that with women. Most women won't do that either. And you and I, we have that built into our DNA over generations that we're not afraid to stand up on our white feet. That's called privilege, Mike. That's
So,
another word for privilege.
is privilege a bad thing to you?
No. Am I a fool? I'm the heir of that. I'm the total heir of that. The question is, it's what my wife asks me on a regular basis. She says to me, honey, would you rather be right or would you rather be kind? How do you confront that? Well, I don't have much luck in my house because, you know, but there it is, Mike. Is privilege only relegated to you and me? Are we the only ones to have privilege in our culture? I know people don't like to hear this. It makes people angry when somebody like me says this. They say, you're all wet. Stop talking like that. You're hurting my ears. What's happening is most of the time when we hear things that we don't like, there is usually an element of truth that is working against what we believe. Think about that. When we hear stuff we don't like, it's many times because there's an element of truth that we refuse to believe. Wow. How do you confront that? And then people say, how can we negotiate with Arabs? How can we negotiate with terrorists? How can we do this or how? We can't even seem to talk across the aisle to each other, Republican to Democrat. Why would we expect those people in the Middle East to get along when we can't get along? I'm just saying, Mike. Sorry, you get me going every week when we talk. You know that. That's why I'm glad I had a vacation last week.
Yeah, I would think so. Joe Coleman has been our guest. Joe, it's always illuminating to talk with you on the air. Since it is summer, I would invite you into the studio sometime. So it seems strange, I know, but Joe and I have never met face to face. So, Joe, if you can work that into your busy schedule sometimes, please come to town, and it would be great to host you in the studio.
Love to, Mike. God bless you and your listeners.
Thank you. Thank you. Broadcasting live again today from the Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters studio at 612 South 32nd Street. I'm not actually there. I'm downtown, but that's where Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters is. You may contact them by calling 576-6481. The news is next. It's 5 o'clock. Thank you for listening.
It's Everything Digital on the Kim Komando Show every Saturday from 11 to 2 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Day 5 of the search and rescue. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A Surfside, Florida crews continue to look for any survivors of last week's partial collapse of a high-rise condo. 10 people are confirmed dead. 151 are missing.
They're out there with every resource that they need to ensure that they can search this area. They can sweep the mound with cameras, with dogs, with sonar, and additional heavy machinery that has come in to start to clear away the debris.
Miami-Dade County Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, structural engineers are trying to determine why the building came down. The top Senate Republican says to get a vote on infrastructure, Democrats must not pair it with a larger spending plan.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell says the only way to pass a bipartisan infrastructure measure is to de-link it with a costlier reconciliation bill backed by Democrats.
And I do think the only way we can get there is to de-link the two issues. They are really separate issues.
Over the weekend, President Biden said it was not his intent to suggest vetoing the infrastructure bill if a larger package was not also passed by Congress. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says there will not be a vote on infrastructure without the budget reconciliation as well. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
President Biden meeting this afternoon with Israel's outgoing president, Reuven Rivlin, saying the U.S. commitment to Israel is ironclad and the U.S. will continue to assist with Israel's defense.
Iran will never get a nuclear weapon on my watch, as they say.
And President Biden said he looks forward to hosting Israel's newly elected prime minister very soon. Tropical storm Danny has formed off the coast of South Carolina, and forecasters say it's expected to head inland and dump several inches of rain in some spots in the southeast. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey everybody, Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. In fact, over 1 million homeowners took advantage of refinancing or buying a new home with Rocket Mortgage. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase again, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. With an official mortgage review from Rocket Mortgage, you'll see just how much money you could save by making a move right now. Don't look back over these next few weeks and wish that you had taken action. You could save hundreds on your mortgage payments or pay off your home loan earlier than planned. You could even take cash out of your home to pay off high-interest debt, complete home repairs, or bulk up on an emergency fund. When you want to secure a low rate, Rocket can. Call 833-8-ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News update, I'm Rob Jones. A propane leak was found after a train derailment in Story County late last week. 27 Union Pacific rail cars derailed Thursday afternoon near Ames and caused a propane leak. Several crossings near Ames were shut down for several hours. A hazmat crew was called out to the site of the derailment to stop the leak. According to the Ames Fire Department, there was no ongoing threat to the public after the leak was dealt with, and no evacuations were ordered. The Ames Fire Department, Story County Emergency Management, Des Moines Hazmat, and Iowa DNR all responded to the incident. From Radio Iowa, the U.S. Supreme Court has overturned a lower court ruling that now leaves open an option for refineries to apply for blending exemptions for renewable fuels. Monty Shaw is the executive director of the Iowa Renewable Fuels Association, and he's disappointed by the ruling.
Backwards reading of agency discretion, saying that, well, because it might be read this way, they have to read it that way.
Shaw says the worst part of the ruling is it keeps the issue alive.
Can't extend something you don't have. And if the majority would have saw it that way, then the refinery exemption nightmare would have been over, because I think you'd be down to only 2 or 3 refineries that could even apply.
He says the positive side is that this is only part of the lower court ruling and the rest still stands.
There are very strict criteria to get a refinery exemption from the RFS, And if those provisions are properly enforced, the vast majority of these applications will be denied.
The Supreme Court ruling overturned the lower court ruling, which said that refineries have to have a history of receiving renewable fuel standard blending exemptions to apply for an extension of an exemption. The Webster County Public Health Department is hosting a free car seat safety check on Tuesday from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Webster County Health Department parking lot located at 723 First Avenue South here in Fort Dodge. All car seat inspections will be done by trained staff members. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Overcast skies tonight with a chance for scattered storms. Lows around 66. Southwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance of scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 82. Cloudy skies expected. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow night, 63. Mid-80s Wednesday and Thursday with a chance for scattered storms Thursday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm staff meteorologist Laura Lockwood.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Ken Coleman, Ramsey personality, #1 best-selling author, is my co-host today. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Ken is host of the Ken Coleman Show, which airs on SiriusXM as a podcast and over 75 radio stations across North America, answering your questions about your career, your job, finding work that matters and work that has meaning and plugging into it, moving ahead in the career that you've already got, all of those kinds of questions. The income side of the equation, where I always deal with the outgo side just about. So we're here to answer both sides of the equation and help you out. The phone number, 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Starting off this hour, Sammy in Atlanta. Hi, Sammy. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hey, thanks. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
Hey, probably 2 years ago, my wife and I got serious about paying off our $80,000 debt. We're down to $29,000. 4 years ago, I left the public teaching to go to private. So I left $30,000 in a TRS fund and kind of forgot about it. So after 4 years, it doesn't gain anything, and I'm not contributing. So I have to move it over. So my wife and I want to know if we can use that to get 6 months ahead and pay the $9,000 penalty and take that money and go ahead and be debt free.
Well, you can, but I wouldn't borrow money at 30% interest to pay off your debt.
Correct.
So I wouldn't. I mean, you know, if you call me up and said, "Hey, I have a bank that'll loan me the money. It cost me $9,000 to borrow 30, so I can pay off this other debt. I'm going to just prepay all the interest, $9,000." You wouldn't even ask me that question.
Right.
And it's the same thing, dude. You're about to give the government a third of your money for no apparent reason other than you just want to be out of debt really bad, which I really want you out of debt bad too, but I don't want you out of debt 33% bad.
Right. It's just we're looking at being able to be 6 months ahead of the next step, which would be more than the 9 we would be losing, but it's still losing 9.
If I suggested to you that you borrow money from a bank at 30% interest to pay off your debt, and you said, "I don't want to do that," and I said the answer was, "Oh, you're looking at 6 months, you're going to be out of 6 months sooner," you would say, "Ramsey, you've lost your dadgum mind."
Right.
But that was your comeback.
Yeah, no, I already knew the answer before I actually called, but excited to be this far along in the journey.
Hey, man, I'm with you. I want you out. So you're going to be out. You're going to be out. It's just going to be 6 months slower, and I'll give you a prediction. It's going to be 4 months slower because you're over this. You're ready to be done. No, take your old retirement and roll it to an IRA with a SmartVestor Pro. Don't pay any taxes on it, and let it grow from this point without taxes. And you're going to love that you did that later. That's a better move long term. Don't give the government a third of your money. It just doesn't make sense. And you can ask the question 6 different ways, and I'm still going to give you the same answer every time. That's the strange thing about me, Ken.
Yeah, you kind of know what you believe, why you believe it.
It's fairly consistent.
Very consistent.
It's ridiculously boring.
By the way, that's a general rule of thumb. That's the correct answer and a very specific answer to his question, but it's always a good rule of thumb to try to avoid giving the government any of your money. It's always a good place to start.
Let's just start and assume they suck at handling money.
Right.
So any money you give to them falls under the heading of bad stewardship.
Right.
God is not pleased
No.
with me when I send them money because they mishandle it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to send it to anybody else that mishandles it either, if I can help it. So, because it's my job is to handle it well. Yeah. So yeah, just, they suck at anything having to do with money. It's that simple. There's not any, how many times do you hear the word government and efficiency in the same sentence unless there's an in front of it, like inefficiency? Yeah, you just don't hear them in the same sentence. It doesn't come up. So now don't send them money. Keep the money for yourself.
Yes.
Always better. Always better. You're not being patriotic. It's just bad. It's just ugly. Don't send them money. They're not good with it.
Yeah.
Clay's in Austin, Texas. Hey, Clay, how are you?
Good. How are you, Dave?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
My wife and I are thinking about downsizing into an RV, selling our house and downsizing into an RV. We did this before we had kids, and now we have kiddos. And we're kind of wondering if it's a good idea. I mean, I know the market's hot right now to sell our house, so we'll make some money on it and probably get out of debt. I haven't put complete pen to paper because I don't know what we're actually going to make on it.
How many kids and how old are they?
Should be. I've got 2 kids. They're 4 and 6.
Okay. And your motivation for doing this is what?
Getting out of debt.
No. Don't do it.
No?
No. 2 reasons. 4 and 6 in an RV. Reason number 3.
Yeah.
RVs go down. That was 2 reasons. RV goes down in value. No.
We already have the RV.
Oh, it still goes down in value.
Yeah. Well,
Now you don't own any
we've already
appreciating
got that
assets. You only own depreciating assets.
Okay.
Is the RV paid for?
Yes.
What do you owe on it? Oh, no, I'm sorry. What's it worth?
no,
What's
the
it worth?
RV
What's it
is
worth?
paid for.
What's it worth?
About 15,000.
Okay, cool. All right. And what's your household income?
About 55, depending on overtime.
Good for you. Okay. Well, much like our last caller, I love the motivation to be debt free. I'm with you on that. I'm not willing to pay the price that you're willing to pay. I love my grandbabies. The idea of being stuck with 2 of them in an RV for the rest of my life until they grow up is suicidal for me. I just couldn't do it. One of us would die.
Yeah, what's your
I'm not
timeline?
talking to do it for the rest of our life. I was talking about I forgot to say we're trying to move to a different city and do it that way.
Okay.
For how
Instead of
long?
buying a new
Well, how
house.
long are you going to be in the RV?
We're expecting 2 years max, maybe 3.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to do. You're a grown up. You called and asked me what I would do. I personally could not do that, would not do that. I don't think the financials are that great on what you're talking about. I don't think it's like a big windfall. And the lifestyle of it, I just couldn't do. I mean, I've got friends that RV. I got friends that have, I can think of one right now who's got 3 kids and they RV. It's their adventure. They live everywhere and they do it on purpose. But they're not doing it so they can get out of debt. They're doing it because they love being on the road, that kind of stuff. But would the Ramseys have done that when we were on our get out of debt journey? The answer is it wouldn't be any Ramseys if we had done that.